sour, too sweet to be sour, the man with the power. Hey, so I want to welcome you all. I know it's been a little while since I've been up and posting some things and whatnot, but I've been doing some things with my son and getting some things and information out there with him, and wanted to just get back to you all and share some things, because guess what time it is? Back to school! Uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-oh. I know some parents are like, yes, thank goodness! Finally, now I can like sneak out at lunch and go home and take a nap. Or set up those little secret rendezvous, you know what I mean? Anyway, so yeah, hey, it's back to school time. So I wanted to come back and talk with you all a little bit about back to school and the things that you may want to consider in helping your young one to have a great start at the beginning of the school year. So this is really where it begins, and you can begin to set the foundation. It's about structure. Structure. I want to talk about structure and routine a little bit today. And this is an excellent opportunity because you're coming right off of the summer, and you can begin now to set up a routine and a pattern and actually have some structure that's going to be really, really good for your young person in your life who's living with you and needs a great start to the school year. And so one of the things to consider when starting off the school year is, what is our schedule gonna be? And a lot of times parents allow this to happen naturally, or hope that it'll just fall into place. But you gotta be really thoughtful about a routine and a schedule that you put in place for your young person. And it really starts with having a conversation with your young person. And I want to remind you, this is definitely for younger ones, but this also includes, when I say younger ones, I'm talking about the ones in elementary school. That seems to be easy for parents. Parents know that, oh, they got to have a bedtime, they need to brush their teeth, and they got to do this, that, and the other. But it's for some reason, when we start to get into middle school and high school, it's almost like parents forget that those young people still need structure and routine also. It's really, really important. I think parents believe that because their child is a tweener or coming into their teenage years, that, oh, you know, I can ease off a little bit, which you can, but you still need to make sure that you have some structure and things of that nature in place for them. And when you have structure and routine in place for them, it will help with them academically, it'll help with them emotionally, and it'll also help with them in just their development in general. So really think about this and sit down with your young ones or the young people in your life and say, hey, we need to set up a routine and a structure that's going to help us get through after school and into the evening time and into the morning time also, when you need to wake up, get up and rise up and do some positive things out there in the world. So what I'd like for you to consider is really putting in some time and thinking about what's going to work for my family. What's going to work for my family? Sometimes we get so caught up in our day-to-day lives and just think and allow things to happen automatically. And that could be detrimental to, like I said earlier, your child's academic life, to their emotional well-being, and then also to just the development in general. So think about, when should they, after school, if they're playing sports and have to go do sports, go to practice and things of that nature, okay, then when is a good time to set up their homework? For them to have a time to do homework. I would really recommend in middle school and high school that you have anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half dedicated to them doing homework. And I know what you're saying. You're going to be like, well, hey, my child comes home every day and says that he doesn't have any homework, or she doesn't have any homework. Well, you know, that could be true, but there's some things that they still could be doing within that hour and a half during study time, if you will, if you want to call it that. And what they could be doing is preparing themselves for the next day, reviewing their notes that they had from class that day. They could read a book or read some articles to stay up on what's going on in the world. They could be writing poetry, writing in their diary. So there's a lot of things that they could be doing that can edify themselves without having to be told that they need to have homework. Even organizing themselves, like I said a little bit earlier, is really important. Do you have your homework ready? Is it in your folders? Or do you have clean out your backpack and straighten that up on a day-to-day basis? Those are things that are going to help them to be successful as they continue through school. So setting aside that hour and a half time, setting it up where like you do that Sunday through Thursday. Sunday through Thursday. You start on Sunday, end on Thursday, because Friday night, you don't necessarily have to do homework because it's the weekend and things of that nature. Now, if you have additional projects or things of that nature where you may need to schedule that time with them to work on those projects during the weekend, that's fine. But allowing them to know that, hey, you're going to have Friday night and Saturday night off unless you have some projects that are coming up. But then we're going to jump back into this routine and schedule on Sunday. So one of the things to take a look at is, when do you want to start that homework? So if they have practices and things of that nature, they may not get home until 6, 6:30, 7, 7:30, 8 o'clock. Also, especially if they're like, in high school around that junior, senior year, sometimes their games go a little bit longer and later into the evening, and that's fine. But here's one of the things that they need to realize is that if you're going to play sports, you need to maintain your grades, and you also need to maintain a routine and a structure so that you can get those things done. So the next thing to consider is actually bedtime. What time is their bedtime? Sleep is very, very important to the growing body. And a lot of times I think we forget as parents, and even the young adults themselves, feel that they can go and operate off of just 4 or 5 or 6 hours of sleep. You could do that, but to be functional and effective and efficient throughout the day, you need at least a good 8 to sometimes 11 hours of sleep for young people in order to be able to function the next day properly and have the pistons and all that good stuff firing really well. And so you got to think about their bedtime. What time is a good time for them to be putting themselves down? You also got to consider, when should they be winding down, or as I like to say, and the joke around here is de-escalate. You got to de-escalate and bring down the milieu, or change the milieu within the house. Turn down the lights, put the phones away, and begin to let your body begin to relax. So what time do you want to begin that routine? We used to do this all the time with babies, right? But you still need to do that with your middle schooler and even high schooler for that matter, because even high schoolers need to make sure they're getting a lot of rest, and especially if they're playing sports. That is when the body is repairing itself while it's sleeping, and also continuing to grow when we think about it developmentally with the synapses and the dendrites and all this science stuff that I'm not going to bore you with right now. But you got to think about what's going to make sense in order for them to function. So what is a good bedtime? 10 o'clock? 10:30? And then you have to think about, well, what time do you want them to wake up so that they can get that 8 hours of sleep in order to 8 or more hours of sleep in order for them to be functional the next day and ready to go. So that might be, for some people, 9 o'clock, might be 10 o'clock or 9:30, 10:30, especially if they're getting up if they got to catch the bus in the morning at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock. So you really need to take a look at the time. I'm doing like the time clock, like thinking about 10 o'clock till 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the morning when school starts. And then also considering how much time do they need in order to really get ready in the morning. I think a lot of times what happens to young people and parents is that they allow themselves to not really consider how much time it takes for that young person to get ready. And so a lot of times parents will not plan accordingly and find themselves frustrated. So bedtime routine, set that up. What time does that start? Do they need to be in their bed? What time do the lights need to be out? No cell phones in the bedroom is really key. Doesn't mean go into your bedroom and then lay there and play on the phone and be looking at Netflix or Hulu or playing your games or whatever. It's really, this is a time where you go into your room and you actually go to sleep. Lights are out. So set that up and think about that also. So then when they go to sleep, got to think about what time do they need to rise and shine. What time is it going to, how much time and this is going to vary, right? How much time does each individual need in order to prepare themselves to get ready for the day? What time does the school bus come? It's very, very important that you do not allow your child or young person to leave the house without eating. it is very important that they at least have some cereal, some fruit, some bagels, some berries, something, because that's what gets the body going in the morning, is having a little something to eat, you know what I mean? So you got to plan for that and allow for that to happen, because if you're running out of the house and you're just grabbing a Twinkie or a Pop-Tart or something like that, no, not necessarily the best. They need to be able to enjoy that meal in the morning that they're having. And so that's something else to definitely consider when they're getting up in the morning, is what are their routines? I know some people like to take showers at night, some people like to take showers in the morning, depending upon their situation. And so you got to consider those things also. So if they take the showers at night, okay, how does that figure into the nighttime routine and getting ready and prepared to go to sleep? And then with the homework, you got to include that in there also, right? And then also in the morning, if you got to get up, do your hair and all that stuff, I mean, like me, you know what I'm saying? You got to do your hair in the morning. You need to consider how much time that's going to take. So plan that out accordingly also. And then the other thing to consider, and I actually want to go back real quick to the nighttime routine. Going back to the nighttime routine is, I really want you to consider, and it doesn't really have to actually even be the nighttime, but when are you sitting down as a family, whatever your family consists of, mother, daughter, father, mother, daughter, father, you know what I'm saying, whatever, or it's 4 or 5 people, 6 people. When are you spending time eating a meal together? There's research that shows that families that eat together reduce the likelihood of teenage pregnancy, substance abuse and misuse, and even academic failure. So those are 3 things to really consider why a meal is important together. And the more meals you have together, you decrease or increase the likelihood that they will not fall into these issues. And you may be asking yourself, well, why would that be, Jamal? And the reason is because you're actually communicating with your child during these meal times, just about life in general. You're talking about your family values. You're talking about consequences and how you deal with challenges and things of that nature. If you really think about it, how many families get an opportunity or even schedule time to eat together? Because we're so busy. One kid comes home, eats, and then mom comes home a little bit later. She's trying to grub out, but nobody really sits down and eats together anymore. And you need to make time to do that, because research shows that that will help your young person be strong and stay off of substances, reduces teen pregnancy, and also increases their likelihood of achieving in school also. So scheduling. This is a great time to start. Why not do it right now? School's about to start. Even if it has started, it's only been a day or two, weekends coming up, or maybe it's been a week, but you still got time. It's going to be challenging in the beginning because it's something new and something different, or maybe something you didn't put in place. But now that if you do it, it's going to help them. It'll be a little bit tough, like I said in the beginning, but it will get easier over time. And it will become a pattern and a habit for not only you, but for them. And then it also will help you to be able to relax and unwind, because you know that your young one is going to sleep at 10 o'clock, 10:30, 9, whatever you guys decide on. You know that that's your time to be able to unwind. You also know that their homework will have been completed, or at least a time for them to kind of practice or tidy up or prepare for the next day, which is truly amazing and awesome. So the 3 things that we want to take a definitely look at is morning routine. How's that look? What time do you want them to get up? What are the things that you want them to do? Then when they come home from school, are we having a meal together, or when are we having our meal together? And then setting up homework time. That's something that you want to definitely set up. And you got to do it every day, Sunday through Thursday. That's the time that they focus on homework. And then bedtime routine. What time does that occur? When are lights out? And keep it steady with that right there. Should be good to go. So, hey, go ahead and implement that. Let me know how it goes. I'd love to hear some feedback on how you feel and think about it. Remember, this is also for middle schooler and high schoolers. That's what I'm primarily focusing on. Elementary, a lot of times parents already have this in place, but they forget about their middle schoolers and high school. It's so important to their development, their emotional stability, and just their academic performance also. So thank you for joining me. I appreciate you listening. Comment, hit me up. It's all good. Have a good one.